A third-party sponsor is any organization or person who contributes towards tuition payments, in addition to the primary guardian. Examples of third-party sponsors include government agencies, scholarship funds, or, perhaps a secondary person who shares the tuition payments on a regular basis, such as in a divorce situation. Let's discuss how to set up and use third-party sponsors. To begin, click on the third-party sponsor folder along the top toolbar. It appears as a handshake icon. In this example, the third-party sponsor, Florida VPK, has already been defined. If you need to add a new sponsor, simply click on the Add Sponsor button. Fill out the information, then click Save. If this sponsor pays in arrears, then you also want to check the box, Permanently suppress late payment fees for this third-party sponsor. Next, you need to add each subsidy fee to the recurring fee schedule. Specific details of this fee schedule can be viewed in the video, Front Desk, AR Rules, Recurring Fee Schedule. Let's review a summary of what is needed for subsidy fees. Enter the fee definition. Enter the posting description. Now, check the box for credit transfer. Select the AR account. Select the third-party sponsor. Select the billing cycle. Enter the dollar fee as a negative number. If the subsidy fee is the same for all students, then simply enter that amount. If the subsidy fee differs per student, then enter a negative $1. This negative $1 serves as a reminder for you that this amount needs to be overridden when assigning this fee to each student. Leave percent fee as 0. Leave effective start and end date columns blank. You can now close the fee schedule window. To recap, we have already defined the third-party subsidy folders, and we have added the subsidy fees to the recurring fee schedule. Now, it's time to move to the student folder to assign these subsidy fees to students. To begin, open the student folders. Select a student, then click on the Fees tab. The Fees tab is used to store the fees and discounts charged for each student. To demonstrate how the third-party fees are applied, let's review the fees for this student, Anthony Ackerman. Anthony is a pre-K student and participates in the state voluntary pre-K program. The weekly tuition is $55 per week. This VPK program happens to be fully subsidized by the state, and they pay $55 per week. This is represented by the negative $55, which we already set up in the fee schedule. In addition, Anthony stays in the extended day program, and that fee is an additional $30 per week. Therefore, on a weekly basis, Anthony's primary guardian, Mary, is responsible for $30 per week in fees. As a reminder, you use the buttons along the side of the window to add, modify, or remove fees and discounts. You can also click on the Fee Schedule button to jump to the recurring fee schedule. Once the fees are posted, let's review what appears on the Payment Account tab. Tuition is charged for VPK Extended Day. Tuition is also charged for weekly VPK tuition. The VPK state-paid portion shows as a credit to this account. The primary guardian, Mary, is not paying that portion of the tuition, as it will be paid by the VPK subsidy program. This leaves Mary's balance due as $30. Let's review fees for another subsidized student. In this example, Mary is a pre-K student and participates in the state voluntary pre-K program. Her weekly tuition is $55 per week. This VPK program happens to be fully subsidized by the state, and they pay $55 per week. This is represented by the negative $55, which we already set up in the fee schedule. Therefore, on a weekly basis, Mary's primary guardian, Robert, is not responsible for tuition and shows 0 charges. Once the fees are posted, Let's review how the Payment Account tab will look for the subsidized student. Tuition is charged for weekly tuition. The VPK, state paid portion, is credited to this account. The primary guardian, Robert, is not paying that portion of the tuition, as it will be paid by the VPK subsidy program. This leaves Robert's balance due as $0. Let's review an example of how to override the amount of a subsidized fee. Click on the Add, Modify button. The recurring fee window is displayed. Select the fee for VPK Florida paid program. For this example, we want to override the negative $55 fee and change it to negative $45. Enter the negative $45 in the flat fee override section. A negative fee requires a negative override. A positive fee requires a positive override. If the subsidized fee has an expiration date, you can note that date here as well. The override fee will be highlighted in red. Since this subsidy is no longer paying for the full tuition, the primary guardian will be responsible for the $10 copay. Next, let's review how the VPK subsidy folder appears after charges were posted to the subsidized families, then transferred to the VPK subsidy. Open the third-party sponsor folders and select Florida VPK. Click on the Payment Account tab. On this tab, you will see the two charges that were credited to the student accounts. These charges were transferred from the students to this third-party sponsor, Florida VPK. The total balance due for this third-party sponsor is $110. $55 for student Anthony, and $55 for student Mary. Let's assume we received a payment from Florida VPK, and it is for Anthony Ackerman. Before we click the payment button, we need to first select the correct subsidy guardian to apply this payment to. This is a critical process, and should not be ignored. Typically, when a subsidy payment is received, it represents payments for numerous families. Instead of posting one large payment at the subsidy level, we strongly suggest that you split the payment into separate payments by guardian, so you can accurately track balances. Let's demonstrate how to do this. Select the family, the primary guardian, that this payment represents. Transactions associated with the Ackerman family will be displayed. Click on the payment button. Complete the payment information. You can review and change if needed how this payment is being applied to outstanding charges. Then, click Receive Payment. When we look at the Florida VPK Payment Account tab for Mary Ackerman, we will see that this subsidy has a zero balance for this family. The Balance Summary tab, you can review subsidy balances by each subsidized family. The VPK balance due for Mary Ackerman is $0. The VPK balance due for Robert Adams remains at $55.